Leo and Seth, twin brothers with a penchant for forgotten history, used the last dollar they had to purchase a lot in Red Rock Gulch. It wasn't exactly a town. It was a handful of ruins and a name. Red Rock Gulch had been a tiny mining outpost, abandoned in 1965, and the lot they bought was considered local junk with zero resale value. Everyone in the neighboring town laughed at their purchase, saying they had only bought more dust and old bills. But the twins had a simple plan: clean the land and find out what the local history wasn't telling. The only intact structure on their lot was a centuries-old stone well, almost completely collapsed, but still structurally sound enough to hold surface water. They decided the well was the best place to start. The well was deep, lined with old, moss-covered bricks. They considered filling it for safety, but first, they needed to determine its condition. They lowered a camera and a light, and the view on the monitor was shocking. The well was not filled with water. It was dry. Surprisingly dry, and at the very bottom, something did not fit the narrative of a 19th-century mining town. In the place where the water should have been, there was a perfectly circular metal plate, nearly the size of the opening, firmly bolted to the masonry bottom. The metal plate was flawlessly sealed, looking far more modern than the rest of the well. They carefully descended, using light climbing gear to examine the plate. It was pure, thick steel, completely rust-free despite the moisture. There was no handle, no keyhole, and no visible external bolts. The plate was cleanly welded, like a bank vault door. They tried to breach the metal with an industrial drill, but the bit barely scratched the surface. The metal was a special alloy, designed to resist attack. The well was a facade for a secret vault. They climbed out, demoralized. Whatever was down there was intentional and designed to remain sealed. They spent hours examining every brick of the well, looking for a clue, a crack, anything. Finally, Leo ran his hand across the stone lip of the well and felt a tiny irregularity. It was a series of minuscule Roman numerals etched into the stone, MCMLXI. Hey guys! Quick break, because we need your help to unravel this ghost town mystery. We are so close to hitting 1,000 subscribers, and we need to smash that goal ASAP. If you haven't already, please hit that like button and subscribe. It makes a massive difference. Also, drop a comment below and let us know where in the world you're watching this video from. We love seeing how far our adventures travel. Now, let's get back to the good stuff. The code, MCMLXI, was the Roman numeral for 1961. The town had been abandoned in 1965. They returned to the bottom of the well with the code. Near the center of the metal plate, they found a small, manual dial pad, invisible until intensely scrubbed. They entered the year 1961. The metal plate did not open. Instead, they heard a sharp click. The entire plate slowly began to rotate, revealing not an open bottom, but an outer ring, with a second plain metal plate in the center. They had activated the first of two seals. The true discovery was about to begin. The second metal plate in the center of the well had no dial pad, but it featured a small, circular slot in the middle. They realized the 1961 seal was likely just the protection mechanism. They needed a physical key or a secondary code. Back on the surface, they returned to combing the ruins of the ghost town. Their search focused on the single remaining ruined house that had belonged to the town's last known resident, a man named Dr. Arliss Vance, a recluse geologist. In the rubble of his house, they found a small, lead-lined chest, barely visible beneath a collapsed beam. Inside, miraculously preserved, was a field journal. The journal belonged to Vance and dated from the period when the town was abandoned. The entries were obsessive, detailing his work on the well and mentioning a geological sealing method to protect his treasure. Vance wasn't mining for gold. He was mining for data. The well was a secret drilling site. The journal revealed the shocking truth. Dr. Vance had discovered a vast and incredibly rare deposit of a crucial rare earth mineral, vital for advanced nuclear fusion technology. He realized the deposit was underneath his lot, but was so massive that the news would cause a massive, uncontrolled gold rush and immediate government seizure. To protect the deposit from premature exploitation, Vance sealed his discovery and recorded the secret in a master key. The journal described the key as a small crystal with the exact resonant properties of the mineral. Attached to the journal, they found the master key itself, a small, faceted object that looked like quartz but had an intense internal bluish glow. They carefully carried the crystal back to the well, descending to the second metal plate. Leo slowly inserted the tip of the crystal into the circular slot. There was no click. Instead, the plate began to vibrate gently. Then, it dissolved. The second metal plate, instead of opening, disintegrated under the effect of the crystal's resonance, revealing a hermetically sealed steel tube descending another 100 feet into the bedrock. The tube contained not water, but a perfectly dry, inert environment. It was a geological probe, abandoned and sealed. Dr. Vance had created a geological time capsule. At the top of the tube, fastened by a handle, was a sample transport cylinder. Inside the cylinder, they found a pure, intact sample of the rare mineral. This sample was the proof and the key to unlocking the fortune. The mineral sample was the confirmation that Dr. Vance's story was real, and the fortune was literally beneath the ghost town. They took the crystal and the sample from the well to an out-of-state geological lab, maintaining maximum secrecy about its origin. The lab report was explosive. The mineral was isotope L, an ultra-rare, nearly pure form of thorium crucial for next-generation fusion reactors. The estimated quantity of this substance in the world was infinitesimal, and global energy demand made it incalculably valuable. The lab confirmed that if Vance's estimates were true, the deposit beneath their lot would be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The fortune lay in the ground, and they possessed the only physical proof and coordinates to access it. The lot everyone had ridiculed was, in fact, the cap to one of the most valuable mineral deposits on the planet. The twins, Leo and Seth, were not miners. They knew that drilling the deposit themselves was impossible, both legally and technically. They used Vance's journal and the crystal sample to negotiate with a major clean technology mining consortium. They had to prove authenticity and ownership, but the precision of the 1961 journal and the high-purity sample were irrefutable. The negotiation was intense, but they finally reached an agreement. The consortium purchased the mining rights to the lot and adjacent properties for a record amount, ensuring the mineral would be ethically and safely extracted. The total amount of the deal, paid to the twins for the right to exploit the Red Rock Gulch deposit, was a staggering $28 million. They were completely shocked. The abandoned lot that cost them a few $100s had transformed into a fortune. They used the money to fully restore the ghost town, turning it into a geological research foundation and a memorial to Dr. Vance, who had protected the treasure for so long. They kept the journal and the crystal, the proof that the greatest wealth is often hidden right